Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Hello.
Good day. How are you doing?
I'm good. Just the reason why most times when we hop on here and we're laughing or smiling or being goofy is because just before hitting record, I have to remind Bev that we can't start talking because otherwise we'll get into a conversation and roll with it. And I'm like, stop talking. I got to hit record.
And then it wouldn't be recorded 100%.
And then there's times when we end recording and we start chatting about just our life in general, about other things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we should have recorded this.
True, that happens a lot.
Capturing those conversations is it's it always comes back around in one way or another, and we hear it when it's time, and I'm okay with that. So
Yeah.
it keeps
Well,
it
yeah,
fun.
because we just don't plan it. There's no planning of any of this conversation. We might think about something that could be discussed or whatever, like, oh, hey, I got a topic or whatever. And then you mention it when you come on, and it's like we find out that it's quite relevant to our personal experiences.
Yes. um I was listening to Robert Grant on an interview, and wow, I always love listening to him. He's got such great insight. He does a lot with numbers and the patterns of numbers and shapes and all of things. And it's just really fascinating. Some of this stuff is beyond my comprehension, which is okay. I'm okay with that. It's great to listen to it and his philosophies of how math and geometrical shapes show up in our lives in all facets of our life. And but one of the things he said, because they were talking about a point of attraction, and hopefully I can say this correctly. We stop attracting what we judge when we stop judging what we see. And I was like, oh dang, because I realize the things I attract, and I'm like, all right, I attracted that, and I'll own that, and I think about it and how it my thoughts and my emotions evolved around it and how it came to me, and I get that. And then I sit back and I watch other people, especially people I spend most of my day with at work, 5 days a week minimum. And I notice how they do the same thing. They judge things or start talking about things, they get them riled up. When those people or situations aren't happening, they're nowhere in our vicinity. We haven't heard from the people in weeks or months, but as soon as any kind of conversation or energy is put towards their name or their behavior, they show up like within 24 to 48 hours. It is wild. And I'll just, as soon as they start talking, I'm like, stop talking about it. You don't want to talk about this. You need to change the subject. Don't talk. Nope. They keep going on. And if it's not, they might stop talking about it in that moment because I've said something and I'm sitting there or with them. But as soon as I leave the room or they start talking to somebody else, it comes up again. I'm like, I'll just sit and I'll just shake my head and like, let them do what they're going to do and they'll see. And then they're like, oh my God, I got this email. Oh my God, this happened. And it's one of those I told you so moments. It's like, I told you, don't talk about them. Don't give them your energy. Don't do any of that. Just let them be, let them do what they're going to do. We keep doing what we're doing. We keep showing up in our best versions of ourselves. We keep being supportive of the businesses. We keep doing, and so I to have such a clear statement that he said, and it just like really resonate. I had to because the lady, the interviewer said, could you repeat that? That was so good. Could you repeat that? And I'm like, then yeah, please repeat that. And so just to hear that in that way, and a lot of times that's what we need. We need to hear it in a certain way for it to really sink in. So anyway, I thought it was good Good statement for this morning.
Nice. There's so much to unpack from that. I mean, just the Robert Grant thing, that's pretty huge. Sharing the name so that people can go look at it. The other thing is we listen to some things and maybe we don't understand all the things, but it's planting seeds for us too, just like it is for anybody else. Judgment has come up. I've actually thought about some of the things that I probably even have said on our recordings and how I've referenced my kids and my son-in-law and all, all these people that I love dearly. But in those moments, I have a judgment. So it goes back to that whole judgment thing. And it's recognizing the judgment for me starts within, because I still have been so critical of myself. That how can I thought about this last night. How can I truly love my kids and my grandkids and Freeman and everybody so much, but I can't show myself that love. So how am I possibly loving them to the fullest, because I'm not loving myself to the fullest at this time. So it's just this whole journey that I'm embarking on. And I find it fascinating, but I also find it in this time space reality that going within and being more following my passion instead of being the nurturer or the I want to say nurturer, because the fixer part, I recognize it that I have that still, or I operate from that space sometimes, but I'm less and less in it, and it changes the dynamics of everything. When you become not that fixer, it almost puts you, it's not because I don't care, but it almost puts you into that space of someone else from wherever they're receiving the information or however they're perceiving things might see it in a different way. But for me, it's not my stuff anymore. And it's not my job to go do this stuff. And it's like, but then the scary thing is when massage isn't there and when everything else isn't there, I'm left with myself. I'm left to process these things. So I'm essentially removing distractions from my current reality. And I recognize how much I pick up of someone else's energy. I know I talk about that a lot, and I have an awareness of it. So I'm just saying that because there's so many out there that are doing the same thing and they don't even recognize it. I was trying to even explain it to one of the kids recently about, well, you're at that moment when an adult or a person comes in and they're angry. And I said, and then as soon as you go ahead and latch into that, or you're like hooked into that, because now they got all this energy going to you, I said, there's an opportunity right in that moment to not take it on or to take it on. It's that simple. And so, and then he started to say something, and I understood at that moment that he wasn't understanding. So it's like, again, I'll go back to the conversation about Robert Grant. He may be saying a lot of information that you do understand. And that's the only reason you're listening to it, to even open up to more. Maybe not the only reason, but you're opening up to more information that's coming out there, and knowing that my family or anybody that's in our vicinity, they're going to receive that information the best way they possibly can in that moment. And it's okay, because guess what? It took me to 55. And I recognize the kids, not that because I'm still going through the process, but I recognize how evolved all the kids are and the younger adults, and I can see all the evolution. I can see it, and they may not be doing it exactly the way I think it should be done, but my way that I think it should be done, or the way that I used to think it should be done, are from programming that I've received in this lifetime. And so then I know that it's not true. So then it leaves me in this space of, well, shit, I don't know what I'm going to do anymore, because I just have to be quiet and listen and hear the next process or the next step or the next wisdom, the words, whatever, however it comes forward. So it's been interesting. And then you come in, of course, talking about the judgment thing, and that's what I've been processing. So it's like that is a process. It's a process, I feel like, for a lot of us, because that's what we grew up in. And if you think about it, if we just don't do the judgment thing, we're creating from everything that we're looking at, right? It goes with the statement that Robert Grant made. We're creating everything that's around us, all of it. And it's wherever you want to put your eye on, whatever you want to look at, whatever you want to, if you want to sit and talk about that person, I've learned as soon as you talk about that person, you know that person's going to call. So someone might pop into my head and I'm like, ah, I'll go think about something else.
Send them love, send them love.
That's right. That's right. Because it's like, no, I don't think so.
Yep. I want to go back to what you were saying about loving yourself. And it's been said multiple times, and the more I lean into the statement, the more I'm like, yeah, I can see that you can only love others at the level you love yourself. And so when somebody says to me, I love you, I've been I would say particularly with people that are close to me is where I think about, because I've been around them for many years. I got a sense of what their relationship with themselves is. And it's like knowing just from observation and my perspective, right? My perspective is completely different from their perspective of themselves. But from my perspective, it's a seeing or observing that they don't love themselves, or there's a little bit of it. And again, this is my perspective, how I'm viewing it from an outside viewpoint. And so then I think when they say, I love you, what is the level of love that is being given towards me? Because they can only love me at the level they love themselves. So it becomes very interesting when you start to play with that dynamic and really so you look at somebody who doesn't eat healthy, is well over 100 pounds overweight, uses, puts a lot of toxins in their body, and it has like runs from themselves. Because typically when we're ingesting things that are not healthy for ourselves at a very high level, then to me, because I know that's what I did for myself, I was suppressing the emotions and the experiences I had, so I didn't have to face them or deal with them, or I was tired of it just keep replaying in my head. And so alcohol was a way for me to escape all that. And so to apply that to what they're doing to themselves, it's like, what's really the level of love that they have for me? Or is it the idea that I'm here and all the things that I do for them? Really, is it just the love of the idea that I'm here as a grounding mechanism, as a safe space? Because the level of love that they have for themselves, again, from my perspective, is not that much. So then is it love, or is it just the idea of my presence? So anyway, I just find that interesting. And it's not that I'm like, oh, well, you don't love me that much because you don't love I don't do that. I'm just like, it's interesting to think about just what that really, if we were to actually have a really deep conversation about their level of love and what that means to them and the way I perceive it, and just really went deep with it, I think they would find a much deeper and impactful truth for themselves. And of course, I would too, no doubt. But the person or people are not ready or willing to go that deep. So I take it for face value. I take it for that's what they know how to do or say, and that's okay. And we just accept. And again, if you come to the judgment part, is there's no judgment around it. It's just an acceptance of this is where they're at with themselves, and this is how they know how to operate. And I've done it too. I still do it. So.
And how valuable is it to recognize all that and then recognize the higher that we raise our vibrational frequency by loving ourselves, that we now actually give someone else permission or give them an idea of what that looks like and what that might feel like. Because probably at this point, they don't know what that looks like. It's been all these people that, you go to the restaurant and you just say thank you, but you just say thank you because that's what you're trained to do. You just say, I'm sorry, because that's what you were trained to do. You just say there's so many things that we do because we were trained to do that way. Or we do it because, and this isn't even an instance, we do it because we want something out of it. We say we're sorry because we expect a sorry back, or, you know, and because I've been that person. And I've said I love you a million times. We don't make eye contact. We just say I love you. And it's not a big deal. You can feel it. It feels flat. It doesn't feel full. And that's okay. That's not a judgment. It's a recognition from my space. You know, I can recognize how things feel when someone genuinely says they're sorry or they give an apology, or how do I genuinely feel when I'm doing that? Do I feel like I'm supposed to, you know, do I feel like that's a necessary thing? And it's really just looking at how things feel again. It's right. It's paying attention to all those things. And then it goes back to, well, gosh, I could probably have a lot of apologies just for bringing up people's stuff. It's like, it's not my stuff to be bringing up, but it was my conversations. It was what I knew. And then that made me recognize, you know, I would have considered those narcissistic values, honestly. A lot of that stuff, it's talking about that stuff and like look how this is affecting me. So it's like my whole dynamics have changed because it's like, it's not about any of that stuff. That doesn't ring true. It doesn't even feel good. When I get done with the conversation, if it doesn't feel good, I'm recognizing real quick, where did I start not feeling good in that conversation? If I'm watching something and I don't feel good, I just don't watch it. It's just paying attention to all those little things and then recognizing, I'll stop for a second and I'll look at my kids and tell them, I love you, and then like I think said recently, one of my grandkids will say, I love you, but I almost feel like it's a reassurance thing, just like I need a reassurance. So I'm recognizing things and which you've talked about a million times, how they're helping me to transform and helping me to see things differently and helping me to see the bigger picture. Because all of it is how is this showing up for me? Like, what do I do with this information? And how am I processing this? What am I doing that's similar to this? Millions of things, right? And I will just go back to a judgment. How can I, have these amazing friendships and stuff if I'm judging myself? Because that means at some point there's a judgment that's going on there too, because it's to present to me an opportunity to either stay the same or to evolve and see things a little bit differently, or ask, gosh, Amy, you're doing that. How did you get to that point? Or how do you feel when you do that? Or just sitting back and observing and recognizing when Amy has these interactions with people. How does it feel? What does it look like? Oh yeah, she really did. She did say that. If you keep talking about the person, it's like Beetlejuice. You say the name 3 times, and it's like he just shows up, right? It's almost like the same thing, and we don't recognize that we're doing it. We just start thinking about a situation, and there's a person attached to that situation, and now you're bringing that person right back into the situation again, instead of looking at it like you would look at it, like, how can I grow from this? Because as soon as you put yourself in that space of asking that question, you've totally shifted gears, and you're not even feeling the same way. And now it's not about the person that was even involved in the first place. It was about, how is this triggering me? It triggered me for a reason, but why? And the only way each person is going to figure that out is by going internally and asking themselves those questions.
Yeah. Yep. True that. And when talking about the judgment, when we're judging others, we're placing conditions on the relationship, which is conditional love. And what we can do with the information is when I'm thinking about people saying I love you to me, and then if I choose to process or think about, it's not like I analyze every single person who says I love you. It's just an awareness that I have. And it's not a matter of judging them at where they're at with themselves and their own self-love. It's how do I feel receiving that from them? And then when I say I love you to somebody else, how deep does that self-love go for me when I share that with somebody? So if I look at Bev and say, I love you, Bev, how much do I feel that within myself, that she's a mirror of me? So what's my level of love for her as a mirror to me of what she represents as my external being or reflection. So that's what we can do, is improve on ourselves of the level of love or the level of judgment that we have when we're interacting with others, or when we're thinking about other people or talking about other people. Having a self-awareness. What is the depth of my self-love, and how much am I judging others? Because I'm judging others, I'm judging myself, which affects my self-love. So it's a tool. It's a tool to recognize that you could use to improve yourself if you choose to just be and do better within yourself. And when you're better within yourself, that just automatically pours out.
It's true. And it's recognizing that, because they're a gauge too. And if someone's in my experience, that maybe I recognize as not loving themselves very much, then it's an opportunity for me, for my own experience, to look at myself and ask, how can I love myself more? Because this is being presented to me because I'm not loving myself as much as I could be loving myself. I love myself conditionally. How did I perform conditions, right? It's like all these things that I've placed upon myself. I may have learned it from people that were helping to raise me, but it's like it was my choice to take it on, and I took it on.
Yeah.
And then, gosh, even now that we're having the conversation, I can go back, because my mom's been on my mind a lot this week, but it's processing where a lot of my own personal programming, how it's led me to this point that I've carried my whole life, 55 years of someone else's stuff, and recognizing that. But now with this conversation, recognizing my mom was 17 years old when she had me. It's like she was going in traumas and things that had happened to her. And it's like she's raising me from her own experiences, which is how we've all been raised, and how we've raised a lot of our kids. And sometimes we've done a lot better job than our parents did, and sometimes not so much. But it's just recognizing all that stuff, and recognizing my mom couldn't love herself. No one ever taught her. So how do we change things? It's by asking within, like, how can I love myself more? How can I love myself more than I've ever loved myself? And because as soon as we do that, now our capacity to love is so much grander than it ever possibly could have been prior to that. And all that stuff did was create an asking within to want to feel that love, and then want to share that love with everybody else.
So there you have it, people. We're giving you tools today, so use them to look at yourself. What is the level of self-love that you have? How much time, attention, energy are you giving to other people in judgment? And if you're judging them, you're judging yourself. And so take some time when you're interacting with people out in the world, or just practice with the people in your house, practice with the people that you work with, those people that you're around most of the time. Then that's a good opportunity for you to practice. And that's all it is. And don't judge yourself for where you're at with yourself, because it's a practice. We're here to practice, and we're all figuring it out. So, and this is why Bev and I come together to have these conversations, because we're just sharing what we're noticing about ourselves and what tools we use to help ourselves to be and do better. And we want to share that with you. So you can do the same. You can be resourceful. You can share this video. You can share links. You can share other podcasts, whatever resonates with you, whatever is helping give you guidance. And there's other people seeking this information as well. So we can be found on many platforms. We're found on YouTube, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, and Facebook and Instagram. So be courageous. Be courageous and have the conversations yourself. So in any aspect of what works for you, be a resource. So with that, do you have any final words?
One thing I would say is ask yourself, how can I love myself more? And see what comes forward.
Yeah. All right, my friends. Tea time with Amy and Bev. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.